Hello, young people. I hope you are well. This video is for any students who may have missed the direct instruction for this second session of our summer learning. And for whether you're incoming 6th, 7th, or 8th graders, the subject of our 2 weeks together, this second session is the same. So we're all talking about theme. And hopefully that gives you a sense of just how important theme is, that we want everybody to feel really, really confident about what they know about theme. So today, during the class, one of the things you'll need to do is make sure that you complete the theme pre-assessment. And it's just like the one you did for character development or summary words, summarization. So I put the link in the direct instruction assignment in Google Classroom. So just make sure you click on that form and just answer that one question about how confident you feel about what you know about theme right now. And as we did last time, you'll fill out a survey at the end of our 2 weeks talking about theme where you'll reassess and decide if you know more or if you know less, hopefully not less. So make sure you do that. The other things we're doing during our lesson is we're going to take a look at some fill-in notes. So I'm going to kind of basically give you a little mini virtual lecture about what theme is and what it isn't, because it's really important to understand what theme is not. And I often encounter students who think they have a great idea of what theme is, and they might have learned about it when they were kids. But as you get older, as you kind of hit the middle school age, our definition of theme becomes a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more specific to literature. So I want to fill you in on that. And then we're going to look at a common lit passage together. Now, because I am not entirely crazy, I'm only making one video for all middle schoolers since we're all learning about theme. So I'll use one text. I'll use the incoming 7th grader text that I used for direct instruction. So if you were an incoming 6th grader or an incoming 8th grader, then during the direct instruction that happens live, I used a different text. And you'll see that text in Common Lit and you can review it, and I would highly recommend that. But today I'll walk you through the 7th grade text just because 7th graders are cool. But so are 6th graders and 8th graders. Are all pretty cool. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Make sure you're in Google Classroom, and if you could open up the assignment for today, it says direct instruction theme, something like that, and then there's a document that every one of you has your own copy, and it says theme fill-in notes. So make sure you have that open as we get started. All right, here we go. Okay, so you should have open your fill-in notes for theme. I guess I titled the document Theme Fill-in Notes for Summer Class. So make sure you have that open and you can edit that and add things in, and I hope you will, as you're listening, add in some of the key words here. So one thing that I tend to notice about students, especially when they're coming from elementary school, when I ask them what the theme of a text is, the theme of a movie, the theme of a book, the theme of a poem, a lot of times they'll give me a one-word answer. They'll say something like, oh, the theme is family, or oh, the theme is cats. But truth is, that's not what we mean by theme when we're talking in literature terms. So if I said to you, hey, Blessy, what's the theme of your birthday party this year? And Blessy said, oh, the theme is Batman. That's totally cool. Blessy can have a Batman themed birthday party, and I think she should. That'd be awesome. I hope I'm invited. But when we're talking about themes in literature, we're talking about something more than just a single word. So those single words, things like family or love or forgiveness, those are all important words when it comes to theme, but they're not themes themselves. So a theme is basically a message or a lesson that the story communicates. And one of the ways I like to remember it is a way that I stole from another middle school teacher, Mr. Ward, who is super cool. And he told me that he likes to remember theme by calling it L cubed, which stands for life lesson learned. And that's a really good way to remember theme. L cubed, life lesson learned. That's what themes are about. It's about the lesson that a story teaches. So sometimes people, when I say, what's the theme of the book? They start telling me the plot. They start telling me about who the characters are and what they do and what adventures they have. But that is not theme. Then other times, students might try and tell me if I say, hey, what's the theme of this story? They might start to describe the setting and tell me where the story takes place or in what time period. But again, that is not theme. So theme is different from those things because when you're talking about something like plot, a plot is specific to one story. So if I said to you, tell me the plot of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, you're going to tell me a very specific plot of a very specific book with unique characters, unique adventures, and things that happen only in that book. But a theme doesn't work that way. Themes are bigger than just one book or one text. It's really important to know this. So themes are, I love to use this wonderful word, starts with U, themes are universal. And what I mean by universal is not Universal Studios or I don't know. That's the only, I guess I mean universal. I don't know. What I mean by universal is that they can apply to lots of different texts. So if you are giving me a theme statement and it says something like the theme of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is that Harry defeats Voldemort, I would say, guess what? Wrong. Because that is not a lesson that can apply to any other text. So I can't say, oh, I'm going to go read Little Women and see if it also has the theme Harry defeats Voldemort, because guess what? Spoiler, it's not going to. So a theme has to be a lesson that can be taught by many texts and not just one. So an example of a theme statement might be something like, sometimes people will let you down, but it's important to forgive. That's a lesson that we learn in not just one book, not just one poem, not just one TV show, not just one movie, lots of them. I'm not saying all of them, but lots of them. Maybe the theme of a text might be friends are the family you choose for yourself. There are lots and lots of books, movies, stories, poems, films that teach us that lesson. So that's how you can kind of test it out. If you can only apply the theme to a single text, then it's probably not a theme. So most novels, movies, and plays have at least one theme, but guess what? They can also have multiple themes. So especially when you're talking about a whole movie or a whole novel, there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from a movie or a book. So you want to be really paying attention to all the different themes that come across. You might find that a book teaches 5 lessons or 10. So some things to consider. We just kind of talked about this, but should a theme include the names of specific characters in the text? And the answer to that question, I'll give you a second to think about it. It's awkward while I give you silent moments while I'm recording, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to count to 10 in my head and see if you can just think about the answer to that question. Should a theme include specific characters? I guess I could also have just told you to pause and think about it, but the answer here is no, it shouldn't, because if a theme gets too specific and starts talking about unique characters that are in a certain book, then that theme can no longer apply to any other book. So if I said the theme of the story is Heidi needs to be nicer, that's not a good theme because I don't really know any other movies, books, films that teach me the lesson that Heidi needs to be nicer. So if you instead said the theme is kindness will cause one, or kindness will bring great benefits. It's a little more general. I don't make a specific mention of this Heidi person, but it sounds like it's still a lesson that Heidi learns in a story that other characters could also learn in their stories. Another thing to think about when you come down here to this next question, it says, where in a story are we likely to find clues that will help us to determine the theme? Okay, so where would you go in a story to find evidence of the theme? And here's what's really interesting. A lot of times authors have their characters go through struggles, and the way that those characters learn from those struggles, that lesson that the character learns is sometimes the lesson that they want us to learn as the reader as well. So a lot of times a lesson that the character learns is also a lesson that the author might want the reader to learn. So keep that in mind and pay attention to what are the big lessons learned by the character in this story, by the main character or by one of the supporting characters, but probably the main character. What's the lesson that the main character learns, or what are some of those lessons? And then think about whether we, the reader, maybe are also supposed to pick up on a lesson there. So that's kind of where to look. Look for the moments where the character has a realization or discovers something about themselves or about life, and then see if that life lesson is something that you as a reader might be expected to learn too. So when you come down to the next page, you get this list of common themes. And this is what I tend to see students say when I say, hey, what's the theme of your book? And they'll say, oh, it's honesty, or oh, it's poverty, or oh, it's freedom. But remember, a theme cannot be expressed in a single word. A theme must contain a lesson. And although I'd love to say, I learned a lesson today. The lesson is family. That's not a lesson. It's a word, okay? So The topic of your story might be family. The topic of the movie you watched might be freedom, but that's not the theme. The theme has to be a lesson about that topic. So you can use these topics to help kind of guide your theme exploration, but the theme itself has to be a lesson that is spoken in a full sentence, not just prejudice or family. So to test this out, to kind of see how this works, you could choose one of the subjects up above. So for example, I gave you this one. It says, underestimating the power of nature can ruin your chances of survival. So the book that immediately comes to my mind when I think of that theme is the book Hatchet, which some of you may have read. It's a book of survival, and if you haven't read it, it's really good. It's by Gary Paulson. But this is a theme that is communicated in that text. Underestimating the power of nature can ruin your chances of survival. But it's also a theme that comes across in lots of other texts too. I know there's a lot of movies that teach us this, where people underestimated how serious a situation was, a natural disaster or something, and it ended up causing them to not survive or to struggle. So to test this out, you can come up with one of these topics up here. So for example, let me show you right now. I might choose family. Family is a good one. And I can start thinking about a complete sentence that could show a lesson you might learn about family in a book. And remember, I don't want to be talking about specific characters, just a general lesson about family that books could teach us. So for example, I might say families, families need to stand up for each other. I guess family members need to stand up for each other. That could be a theme. And I think if you spend a few minutes thinking about it, you could probably come up with a lot of texts that teach that lesson, that family members need to stand up for each other. What if we thought about, let's go to belonging. What's a theme we could have about belonging? Maybe we could say something like, it's important to find people who share your passions. Is that a life lesson? Yeah. Is it something that we learn from a lot of books, movies, TV shows, articles? Yeah. So that would be a theme. So you want to be pretty confident in coming up with these statements, these one-sentence life lessons that can be communicated by multiple texts. So remember, they have to be universal. They're not going to be just about one text. That's really important. And they're also going to be a sentence and not just a word. All right, so let's try taking a look at a Common Lit article, or a Common Lit reading, I should say. And for your direct instruction day today, one group of you, the incoming 8th graders, got a poem. The incoming 6th and 7th graders, we gave you each a different fable by Aesop. And there's a reason for that. Aesop's fables are kind of really good ways to practice identifying theme because they usually have a moral at the end of them, and it's a pretty clear life lesson that you're supposed to learn. So we're going to take a look at a fable, and for the 7th graders, the assignment was called The Donkey, the Fox, and the Lion. And so let's first take a look at this and just read it. It's pretty short, so we'll read it together, and then we'll talk about how to answer some of the questions. All right, so this one, again, is called The Donkey, the Fox, and the Lion. The donkey and the fox, having entered into partnership together for their mutual protection, went out into the forest to hunt. Quick pause. If you're not sure what mutual protection means, mutual means kind of helping each other. So mutual protection means that they have become partners so that they can take care of each other. Seems kind of a weird partnership, a donkey and a fox, but okay. Went out into the forest to hunt. They had not proceeded far when they met a lion. The fox, seeing imminent danger, imminent means very soon coming, so seeing imminent danger, approached the lion and promised to contrive for him the capture of the donkey if the lion would pledge his word not to harm the fox. Okay, that was complicated. So basically the fox sees the lion and says, "Ooh, man, danger." And so he tells the lion, "If you don't mess with me or hurt me, I'll help you capture the donkey." Which is kind of lame because the donkey and the fox were supposed to be partners in protection. Okay, then upon assuring the donkey that he would not be injured, the fox led him being the donkey, to a deep pit and arranged that he should fall into it. Wow, okay, so the fox basically lured the donkey into a pit, even though the fox and the donkey had been partners together to protect each other. The lion, seeing that the donkey was secured, immediately clutched the fox and attacked the donkey at his leisure. Wow. So ultimately, the lion got to eat the fox and the donkey because once the fox did what he offered, then the lion just took advantage of the fox and took him too. Okay, so if we're thinking about lessons to learn here, it seems to me like there's a lot of betrayal going on. There's a lot of people kind of not not sticking with the promises they made. So let's see what the questions for the assessment have, and we'll see if we can answer them because I know it's going to ask us specifically what is the theme of this text. So here you go. Question 1, part A, and always make sure you notice when there's a part A, there's going to be a part B. So be prepared for that. And usually part B is going to ask you for evidence for part A. So part A here asks us, which of the following best describes a major theme of the text? So I like to always make sure I read all the choices, even if I'm pretty confident about one. So option A says betraying a friend can have terrible consequences. That seems pretty legit to me. So I like that. I'm going to hold on to that. Then we have B, the desire to survive is strong, but it is not as strong as friendship. That seems to be the opposite of what this story tells us because the fox seems to be more concerned about surviving than about friendship. So we'll nix choice B. It's a no-go. Then we have C. Being clever can be more useful than being strong. I don't know about that because it seems like the fox thinks he's being pretty clever, but then he ends up getting outsmarted by someone who is also strong. So I don't know that that one makes sense. So I'd probably eliminate C. And then D. Friendships made between cowards never last. I would say that that isn't a message that we get from this story. It might be a theme. It could be. These are, so another thing to notice is that these options, A, B, C, and D, they're all potential themes. They're all themes that could be communicated by a text. But when we're thinking about this particular text, I think the most accurate answer is A. Betraying a friend can have terrible consequences. So as I move on to part B, to question 2, I want to keep that theme in my head because I know almost certainly it's going to ask me, what evidence do you have for the theme? So what evidence from the text shows that betraying a friend can have terrible consequences? So we're looking for evidence of the terrible consequences. So choice 2, hey, part B, which quote from the text best supports the answer to part A? So where's the evidence that betraying your friends can have terrible consequences? So let's see. Choice A says the donkey and the fox, having entered into partnership together for their mutual protection, went out into the forest to hunt. That doesn't really say anything about terrible consequences or give a sense of things going wrong, so that's probably not our answer. We have choice B. The fox, seeing imminent danger, approached the lion and promised to contrive for him the capture of the donkey. So this is where the fox is making a promise that he's going to fall back on. And again, I always forget I have to go back and see what, okay, so betraying a friend can have terrible consequences. Betraying a friend can have terrible consequences. This doesn't really tell us much about the consequences, so I think we probably still need to keep going. Choice C, then upon assuring the donkey that he would not be injured, the fox led him to a deep pit. This is like leading up to the consequences, but it's not actually showing them. So I'm hoping that choice D is correct. Here's hoping. Choice D, the lion, seeing that the donkey was secured, immediately clutched the fox and attacked the donkey at his leisure. That's right. So those are the terrible consequences that came out of betrayal. So choice D is the one that gives the evidence of those consequences. So that's your correct answer. Question 3 asks, how does the fox react to the arrival of the lion? So before I even look at my choices, I would go back into the text and see how the fox reacts. So it says the fox, seeing imminent danger, approached the lion and promised. So basically the fox goes up to the lion and tries to make a deal. So let's look for a choice that helps to show that. So option A, the fox becomes frightened and tries to save them both. We know that didn't happen. Option B, the fox tries to make friends with the lion. And in spite of the donkey's warning, I don't think there was anything about a donkey warning, so we're going to nix that. Choice C, the fox tries to trick the lion into falling into a pit. Nope, that's not true. Choice D, the fox is quick to betray the donkey by offering to trick him for the lion. There we go. So this is just one of those questions where it's a matter of, did you understand what the text said? So make sure you read carefully so that you're not missing out on questions like that. The last question asks you, how does the ending of the story contribute to its overall meaning? So remember, our overall meaning is kind of like our theme, our life lesson learned. And so if we go back to the first question, we said the theme was that betraying a friend can have terrible consequences. So let's look at these options and see which one most communicates that. So they're very wordy, aren't they? Choice A, the fox's betrayal at the end of the story contributes to the idea that people cannot stop themselves from being what they are, like the cowardly fox. I don't know if the story tells us that. It's very sad if it does. Let's see. The fox's betrayal at the end of the story contributes to the moral. Do not trust other people to help you and instead help yourself as the donkey should have done. I don't know about that. I think it is true the donkey was wrong to trust the fox, but is the message that we shouldn't trust other people to help us? I'm not sure about that. Then we have, let's see, the deaths of the fox and the donkey contribute to the moral of the story. It is better to be united against an enemy rather than divided by our differences. Interesting. Maybe, but even if the fox and the donkey were united, I still think the lion would have taken them down. So I'm not sure if that's the lesson. I really hope it's D. The lion's betrayal of the fox contributes to the idea that betraying a friend can have terrible consequences, just as the fox's betrayal led to his own death. Boom. And if you really look at that answer, you'll notice that it has those words, terrible consequences, the same thing that we had in that first question about theme. So these are really interconnected, theme and moral. Um, so yeah, that is the text for today. Hopefully this was helpful and gives you a sense of what theme is. For your assignment tomorrow, you're going to do a little practice quiz and it'll give you some immediate feedback on theme and on your knowledge of it. So make sure you look over those notes that you took today, those fill-in notes, and really establish your understanding. If you have any questions or concerns, Ms. Tosh will be available on office hours on Wednesday during the same hour that you have your direct instruction. And then you can also email us, send us a Google chat, and we're happy to help you whenever we can. All right. Looking forward to seeing most of you this week and have a great day.